It feels a little bit lonely. Hope you're doing well and welcome to another video. My girlfriend is out of town. That means I'm gonna be by myself for a couple of days. So the plan for this video is that I'm gonna visit some places alone, and then more importantly, I want to share some thoughts on loneliness. I don't think it's a very complicated topic. So this is gonna be a talk about loneliness masked as a vlog, a good vlog. So the first thing I'm gonna do is to go for a hike, and I have now made it to the entrance. I actually did this hike last year, and if I remember correctly, then up and down took around 3 hours. Right now it's 7:54, so let's get this started. I have been climbing for 15 minutes now, and so far it's pretty warm. Fortunately, I'm doing this in the morning, so most of the road is in shade. And so far, not too many people climbing today. Let's start talking about loneliness. So one big thing that causes loneliness is comparison. I'm climbing this mountain alone today, and if I were to see a group of people who are laughing and having a good time, I think it's very normal that I would compare my situation to theirs, and as a result, I would feel more lonely. I don't want to sound overconfident here, but this is going surprisingly well. Not that difficult at all. I don't remember it being this easy. I think it's important to understand that it's normal to feel lonely, because life goes up and down. There are good times and then there are bad times. But the short-term solution I have for loneliness is physical exercise. Because when you're really tired, you don't have time and energy to feel lonely. Running is especially good. Okay, change of plans. So my initial plan was to share some thoughts about loneliness on the way up, but I think it's better if I just get to the top and share it all there, rather than taking a pause every few sentences, because it's kind of slowing me down a bit. And I want to get back home before it gets too warm. Alright, I remember this part from last year. This is the steepest part and also the final push. It's a steep one. Alright, after a 1.5 hour climb, I have now made it to the top. I just checked my step count, and it's right now sitting at around 6,000. So not too bad at all. Recording myself walking and then having to go back and pick up the camera definitely slowed me down. And from up here we can get a really nice view of the city. I like what I'm seeing. Up here they also have Shenzhens TV tower, which is quite impressive. The air quality says that it is excellent. However, I can still see quite a bit of pollution. Or I think it is pollution, or maybe this is just what happens when it's humid and warm outside. But overall, it's definitely very nice and quiet up here. Very peaceful. The good thing about going on a hike alone is that you can take your time and enjoy things. And also that no one is complaining. And the bad thing is that you have no one to talk to and no one to share this with. With that said, let's talk a bit more about loneliness. And I found myself a nice seating area here. And the reason why I want to sit is because I am feeling a bit tired. So I read online that loneliness means that you are not making enough connections or that you are not building enough relationships. And I think that is accurate. However, I also think that not having things to do and not having goals and then scrolling too much social media also plays a role. Why is social media bad? Well, the reason for that is because it makes us compare our life to others, and then we start to focus on the things we are missing. That's at least what can happen to me. So when it comes to getting to know new people, I think the most important thing is that you have your own life figured out. I think we need to have some kind of plan for our future. We need to have goals, and then we need to have our own interests. Because otherwise it's gonna be difficult to find interesting things to talk about. And it's also easier to get to know someone if we have common interests with them. I think it's quite common these days that people don't have their own interests because they spend so much time on social media, TV series, and other sources of easy dopamine. Another good way of dealing with loneliness is to have things to look forward to, where you are meeting other people. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a 9-to-5 job, because you know on Monday you are gonna meet people again. I actually don't spend that much time with friends and relatives because I feel like my 9-to-5 job gives me enough social interaction. I'm a person who enjoys being alone. For me, it's a great way to relax and recharge. I would say I'm fine without talking to anyone for 3 days. Then the feeling of loneliness will start to creep up a little bit. One thing I have noticed is that loneliness for me is almost always combined with low energy. So because of that, I try to stay away from things that puts me in a low energy state. And one of the best lessons I have ever learned is that when doing things, it's the feeling we feel after that is important. You know what? I'll share more about loneliness when I get back home, because my notes are a bit messy and I'm starting to feel a bit tired. In case you wonder, then I skipped breakfast this morning because it was just too early. I'm now gonna walk down, which is most likely gonna be very painful for the knees. But overall, this was a very successful hike. This was my first ever solo hike, and it feels very good to be in nature. This is a good memory in the making. I have successfully made it down, and I can definitely feel it in my knees. The way up took 1.5 hours and the way down took around 45 minutes. I would definitely say that the way down is more dangerous, since some of the steps are very steep. I am very hungry now, and what I want is some salt and high protein food. Just had some food, and I visited not one but 2 Chinese fast food places. And I really like these places because you pay based on weight. They have a lot of options, and I think this is a great place to come if you want something fast and high protein. It's not the cleanest because they use a lot of seed oil when cooking. And it's always busy during lunchtime because this is where many workers go for lunch. I have made it back home. Now I need a shower, and then I need a rest. You know what? I will take this opportunity and clean the home, since it's a lot easier to clean when no one else is here. Alright, let's continue talking about loneliness. If a person is lonely right now, I think it's very important that they admit and take responsibility that the reason they are lonely is because of the decisions they have made leading up to this point. Every time they cancel a plan because they didn't feel like it, or choose to stay at home because it's comfortable, has now resulted in them being lonely. And the two reasons why people don't enjoy social activities is because they are boring, which is very common, and that they have become addicted to easy dopamine, so everything else seems difficult and boring. When a person is lonely, I think it's very easy to choose short-term pleasure in order to escape the discomfort of loneliness. And these days, when we have access to the internet, it's just so easy to distract ourselves. My guess is that spending time alone in the comfort zone will make you lonely. That seems very obvious to me. It's also quite common that lonely people will defend and give reasons for why they are lonely. For example, they say things like, "That's easy for you to say, this happened, that's why I'm lonely." If you are trying to fix your loneliness problem, then you should not be defending it. Alright, that's everything I had to say, but I think that dealing with loneliness is a skill worth learning. It's the next day and there is this temple nearby where I live, so I thought that I would include that in the video also. And in terms of ranking, according to the Red Note app, then this is the third best temple in Shenzhen. So it should be quite impressive. And in case you wonder, then I have recovered very successfully from yesterday's climb. I can still feel it a little bit in my knees. Right now I'm making my way up towards the main golden Buddha statue. So this temple is located on a mountain, and from here we can get a really nice view. I can, for example, see a couple of small lakes here. And there are also quite a lot of buildings here. So I have been in Shenzhen for a bit over 2 months now, and in terms of pollution, then this is one of the worst days. I don't know if it gets much worse than this. So my understanding is that Chinese people, they visit these temples for two main reasons. Either it's to pray to get things, or it's to show gratitude. So I thought I would do both. Since this video is about loneliness, then the first thing I'm grateful for is that I know how to deal with the loneliness. Then I'm also grateful for my girlfriend for making life in China here less lonely. And the last thing I'm grateful for is that I'm not interested in politics. I can always fall back on that one. As for praying, then I pray that my girlfriend will stop using her phone so much and instead do things that are good for her long term. I also pray that this video is gonna do well, but that's most likely not gonna happen since YouTube is very competitive and ruthless. Alright, that's gonna be the video. Thank you so much for watching and I wish you a very, very nice day.